Hey, Fran fam, welcome to another edition of Life in Style with Francyne. I am your host, Francyne Walker, and I am so excited that you're here with me today. We have an awesome guest, Nancy O'Neill. She is the founder of the Detroit Business Hub Group and also author, Amazon. You can find the book on Amazon, Fire Your JOB. About that one. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely do. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Francyne. How are you? Thank you for having me on the show today.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad. Matter of fact, I owe you another thank you for my gift that I won.
Yes.
My iPad. It came.
Well, I'm glad. I hope you enjoyed.
Yes. I was so surprised. I was pleasantly surprised that I won first. And then I got it in the mail. I said, this is my first birthday gift. So thank you.
Well, that's great. And happy future upcoming birthday too.
Well, it's tomorrow. So
that's wonderful.
I'm gonna set it off tomorrow with my iPad and some wine and all kinds of good stuff. So, talk about your background. Quite extensive. You've done some things which puts you in a position of expertise as it relates to businesses.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I can talk about my background. I'm not sure. I never know like when to start off at, but I guess I'll start off at college. When I was in college, I wanted to become a broadcast journalism, actually a print journalist with an international journalist to be exact. And once I graduated from University of Wisconsin with a journalism degree and along with international relations. And I wanted to be an international journalist. So I thought, what better way to do that than becoming an airline stewardess? And that way I can travel all over the world and write about my experiences. Well, once I graduated, I told my mom I was going to become an airline stewardess. She didn't really let me get the rest out so I could share the whole plan.
Okay.
She's like, an airline stewardess, I spent how much money to send you to college? And now you want to be an airline stewardess? What did you go to college for? So I actually quickly forfeited that idea. And I was like, just never mind. Like I didn't even go through the whole story. Okay. But I also realized how low, starting off airline stewardesses were paid now. And this is like 20 years ago. I'm sure it's a lot better now, but I didn't think I could survive off of that. So I ended up starting a position in the nonprofit industry where I was heavily micromanaged with two different nonprofits for 3 years. And decided that this is just not working for me. I've always been very self-paced and I'm pretty much a go-getter. I can go out and kind of do things on my own. I'm not used to having somebody hover over my shoulder, every day or every 5 minutes to make sure I'm doing my job. Like, of course I'm doing my job. Like that's what I'm here for. So I was very disgruntled after 3 years. And I'm like, this isn't what I went to school for. I really wasn't tremendously passionate about what I was doing. So I said, I think I need to start my own business. And that's how I got interested in entrepreneurship. I was a realtor for 5 years until 2008 with the depression that hit the country, or recession. Sure. And then I transitioned over to being an insurance agent for 6 years. I was a producer for 1 year, an insurance agent for 5.5 years. And from there, I used those experiences to create Detroit Business Hub Group, which is where I am today.
Wow. So sounds like you were driven all on your own. So you didn't necessarily, first of all, micromanaging is the worst. When you're grown, and you are automatically for the most part there to do your job. You really don't need anybody. That is the worst. And it's just a morale breaker. So you were
It really is. And I feel like at both places, not to interrupt, but at both organizations, the morale was very low. You had employees, and one thing that some advice that I received when looking for a job is to drive to the parking lot of where you want to work as employees are walking in and as they're leaving, and kind of look at their facial expressions and see how content they are at their company. And that kind of gives you an idea of if this is a place that you want to work or not.
Sure. And it's not to say, I know some, it's not to bash 9 to 5 or 9 to 5ers or anything like
Right.
that. But it's definitely important to like where you work, which is why
Absolutely.
when you're interviewing with a company, you can ask questions too, so that hey, I don't just want a job, but I want to be somewhere where I am basically.
Appreciated.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you started the Detroit Business Hub group and what it does exactly.
Okay. Well, my two passions in life right now are business ownership and teaching. So I thought, why not combine the two? So Detroit Business Hub Group, we mentor, educate, and we network with new business owners. And by education, we're currently offering a virtual course through Teachable, where we are, it's 16 modules, 15 to 16 modules or lectures, where we are teaching new business owners the nuts and bolts of how to successfully start a business.
Now, if someone wants to get started with, is there a fee associated
Yes,
with
the
that?
course is $100, but if someone would like to send you their email address once they see the show, we can offer them a special rated coupon where they can take advantage of the course for only $1.
That is amazing. That is great. I mean, because I think a lot of people have a great idea. They
Yes,
just lack the principles.
absolutely.
So how does one get started in the program? They just sign up and then they just go. Is it self-paced?
It is self-paced. We recommend that new business owners take about 1 week per lecture or module. I also, along with the other hub group members, right now there's 14 of us, including myself. We offer a coaching program, which is a bi-monthly call. And we actually sit down with the business owners virtually right now due to COVID. We sit down with the business owners and discuss the lecture that they just should have watched and make sure that they're on pace. And then we give them advice and answer any questions that they have about that topic, or they may have a question about another topic.
Now you mentioned there's 14 plus yourself.
Yes.
What are the other occupations of the other group members? Are they business owners as well?
Yes, they are all business owners in their own right. So we wanted to be a full service LLC agency where we offered business services from A to Z. So if someone needs help with marketing, we offer marketing expertise. We have 3 different marketers in our group. Mike Rizzo, who does all of our videography. Melissa Davis, she works more on social media networking. She also helped me plan the webinar that you were a part of on June 1st.
Okay.
And then we have Rosh Silers, who is a photographer for our group, and he also does SEO websites and research as well.
Wow. How many businesses approximately have you, or it's probably too many to count, that you've serviced so far?
Right now, it's only been a handful. We actually want to service more small businesses, but I filed the LLC in December, and then we started this year, so we're still fairly new.
Okay.
January, we have testimonials on our website, and so people can see some of the companies that we've worked with and who we've serviced. That's one reason why we started the starter course, because we wanted to work more one-on-one with businesses and get those metrics up. To show that we were working with more smaller businesses so we could be more effective in the community. So we thought a virtual course, especially in light of COVID, would be a great way to do that.
I was just getting ready to say, with a lot of the businesses being so adversely affected by COVID,
right,
it would probably be a great time to reset. I know, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Looking
Yeah,
at,
businesses who are not online are pretty much going out of business or becoming
yeah,
extinct right now. So we do talk about how to pivot online and how to get that online presence. That's a major part of the course. We actually shot most of the course April 1st. So at that time, COVID had just hit,
yeah,
and none of us really knew how long it was going to last. I certainly didn't think, fast forward 2 months later that we would still be in the midst of this and there would still be businesses closed. This is like unprecedented that,
yeah,
the government can just come in and tell you that your business is shut down.
yeah.
So thankfully, I'm so glad that we don't have that brick and mortar responsibility. Most of us work out of virtual offices. Detroit Business Hub Group works out of a, a virtual office because that overhead is just so expensive. And while some business owners got a break, one of our group members who has 3 businesses in Oakland County said that all of her rent is still due, or leases are still due every month.
Wow.
That Oakland County did not give most of their tenants a break. And even if you don't have money coming in, you still have to figure out a way to pay this overhead, which can be a tremendous burden on a
Sure.
business owner. It's
That is so
unreal.
sad. Um,
Yeah,
because if you don't have the foot traffic, then you don't have the business. So
absolutely. And
that
I'm not really sure how she pivoted to stay afloat, but I'm sure that she's making a way to make this work.
okay.
But that is something that I think a lot of people are rethinking. And the other thing people are rethinking about space is that, do you really need all of this office space, that people buy into so
Yeah.
much?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people right now who are just as productive at home as it would be in an office. So who's to say that you can't be as effective working from home than in your office? You just have to have systems set up in place.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I noted, where being at home, first of all, I don't like to drive. As
Okay.
far as commuting,
Right.
I was working downtown after not working downtown for years.
Uh-huh.
And I had just like, whoa, this traffic is crazy.
It is crazy.
Home and have some wine or something, because it was just like I wasn't used to it anymore. I worked downtown for 13 years back
Right.
in 2000 something, 1996. So to work back downtown, live in Oakland County, and commute, one way, it was just like, this is a lot. I mean,
It
that's
is.
2 hours gone, just
Absolutely.
in the car.
Right.
So I actually like the remote setting, honestly. The only
Yeah.
thing I would have missed in the past is the workplace connections.
Yes.
But the trade-off as far as managing my time, and
Right.
just the pace and being at home, um, it kind of works for me. So I think a lot of people are probably finding that out and realizing we've had about 90 days at home, and
Yeah.
probably realized that we could wire things differently. Not so much actually wire, but just set up things where you have a space that is your
Right.
space. And then, like right now, I have my door closed so the dog doesn't come in,
Okay.
you know, but that's, everybody knows, hey, I'm going live. Be quiet.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So those are the
Right.
things. It's like, oh, the door's closed. She's doing her show. So
Right.
I think it can work because nationwide, closed like in 5 states where they just said not their parents, their employees can work from home.
Right.
Someone else was telling me their light bill alone is like $60,000 a month.
It's crazy.
Just lights.
Yeah.
So they were saving $60,000. So what that probably prompted a lot of corporations to do is say, $60,000,
That's
so
that's somebody's salary, or two or three people's salary.
two or three people. Yeah. So I'm noticing that even the guy, the CEO of Twitter, you know, work from home. I had to have some work done, and I called for customer service, and I said, "Well, let me do this. Let me give you my card so you can run my check or whatever, run my credit card." And he said, "Well, we can't really do that because I'm working from home." I think it was GoDaddy, and
Uh-huh.
so that's a limitation where it's like, oh, they can't take currency or whatever, but I think it could work. It's probably, do you think it's the wave and it's creating a new culture?
Yeah, I think this is becoming the new normal. There's some people that, they have, with photography and videography, and some of the people in our group, they already had home offices. So for them, the transition was very simple. Uh,
Sure.
you did have others who had brick and mortars, and as I said before with Brandy, she still has to pay her rent regardless of if she's there or not. But I think new business owners, they can have a heads up on this to say, hey,
Yeah.
I'm in a position to pay rent as a new business owner when I don't really have a lot of clients or customers right now. Is this something that I want to put my name on? Because it's like, the bills don't care how they get paid, but they do have to, they have
Right.
to get paid. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I kind of feel like starting out as a realtor, one break I can say, even though we had to pay like franchisees fees, we didn't really have to pay for our space. So that was a huge blessing within itself. And then they took out, their commission every time we had a sale.
Sure.
With insurance, we did have to have a brick and mortar after a certain amount of time of being in your district manager's office. And I usually had a tenant or a business partner that I rented space with to help split the cost. My last suite that I had in Bloomfield Hills, I actually subleased out to two other tenants. So that pretty much paid for that expense. But I think that we just have to work smarter, not harder, and we have to use our dollars wisely in business and make them stretch as far as they can.
I noticed that a lot of businesses that have product
Yeah.
or do certain services, whether it's let's just say a manicurist.
Hmm.
Well, if you don't have hands and feet, because the governor says
Right.
you can't do hands and feet, we're trying to flatten the curve,
Right.
then it's an opportunity to pivot. Maybe
Yes.
offer cuticle oil, maybe offer, and I think a lot of times business owners think if they educate their customers, they're going to lose their customers.
Right.
You know, um,
I agree. My hairstylist actually started doing webinars about how to take care of your hair at home. I
Perfect.
was like, she's a genius. I was like, this is such a good idea. And
Yes.
so, because most of us were really struggling and, we're blowing our phone up, like, when can we get back in? Our
Yeah.
hair looks terrible.
Yeah.
So she started educating us about what to do. And as a result, I got a few products off of Amazon to help me, be able to maintain my hair better. Like,
Yes.
for instance, I didn't have a dryer brush. So I got a comb. I got one of those, and that helped a lot. Certain oils that she was using out of her salon, we could purchase off of Amazon. But you're right. I think there is that fear that, oh, they're never going to come back. And it's like, one of her customers said, well, I did everything you said. My hair still doesn't look the same as yours,
Oh,
as when you do it. She's like, I'm a professional. She's like, I
yeah.
wouldn't go to your job and expect to do everything that you do
Yeah.
because, you haven't been trained. Like, this is my trade. This is what I do. So what she said makes sense. But the fact, I also purchased a wig from her, the one that I'm wearing now, which actually needs to be rolled up some, because I wanted to continue to support her business, because she's another business owner that I know who's still responsible for paying overhead every month, even though she hasn't had any customers since March 14th. It's like, what did they expect these people to do? I think it's ridiculous that they are still required to pay all of these fees when they have no foot traffic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she was creative and came up with other products to sell, including making hair or wigs to help her clients out.
What would you advise this unprecedented, that is probably the best word to describe something that I've never experienced and probably
Right.
yourself as well. This pandemic has been my whole thing. I said in March, it's going to magnify who you are. You know, it's
Yeah.
going to show you, probably, if you're willing to look at it and look at the truth, show you who
Right.
you are, show you what you need to do. I
Yeah.
think it has, or what you should keep doing, change, and guess what? It's okay if you don't.
Mhm.
It's not so much an opportunity necessarily for you to overproduce, beat yourself up,
Right.
because, we were just talking about our own stressors.
Yeah.
Um, mine was eating a little bit.
That's a lot of our problems. I already told you I gained 17 pounds since
Me
January.
too.
So.
I might have got three. So you got COVID-17 and I got COVID-20, like the college, the 15. And like I said, for me, it was just, I knew I was eating, but I
Yeah.
didn't know I was gaining. I knew I was eating, and eating at 2 a.m., going to bed at 5 a.m., all because of
Yeah.
the stress.
Yeah.
But for business owners, would you say, for any pending catastrophe going
Mhm.
forward, have some kind of backup plan?
And that's what I was thinking while you were talking, is that a lot of us, and I've been guilty of it too, have been living paycheck to paycheck. And at this point in time and era, that's no longer an option. You just can't afford to, because you don't know when disaster is going to strike. I mean, that's why emergencies are called emergencies. They're not planned. So
Yeah.
this was definitely an emergency that nobody saw coming. And what I found for myself with Detroit Business Hub Group, I started the organization keeping the overhead very low. As I said, we work out of a virtual office. I continued to keep the overhead low after we had started with, the different marketing expenses and things like that. But I also looked for other sources of revenue. So while I kept the overhead low, I make sure that I pay my bills on time. So I have decent credit where I can go out and obtain those business lines of credit or business loans when we need them. Um, I I do support borrowing starting out if you need to have the funding, but at least you have that option when you have decent credit. And I think a lot of business owners don't know until you have established business credit, that lenders look at your personal credit. So you have to pay your personal bills on time. You want to try to not have your debt to income ratio be at 99 or 100%, to leave some money on your credit and debit cards to try to have at least at 50%. One of the other things that I found out too with applying for a Kiva loan, which is a type of crowdfunding loan,
Yeah.
is that they ask about um, your check account history too, which I had never seen before. I was blown away. It's like,
Wow.
how many return checks have you had since the beginning of the year? And I'm going, what? So
Wow.
yeah, they're really getting personal. They're starting to ask about your personal bank accounts now. And ironically, we hadn't had any return checks on our end, but one of our members had just literally wrote a check that did not clear, and I was so
Wow.
upset because
Yeah.
I was like, this can actually keep me from being able to obtain a loan, and I was like, it wasn't even our fault. Thankfully, I was honest. I put the one return check fee on, that we had one return check. Thankfully, because of COVID and a lot of other banks are doing this, they did not charge us an overdraft.
Yes.
So you have had banks since March, around 10th or 11th, have not been charging their clients overdraft fees, just to help their customers out, unless it's something ridiculous like, a customer has $5 in the bank and they make a purchase for $1,000. Yeah, they're going to charge you a fee for that. But if it's just a few dollars over, several banks have been giving their customers breaks and not charging those fees. But yeah, I think just holistically, we have to look at our finances. I mean, every aspect of our lives. I think, like
Absolutely.
you said, this helps you examine um, your yourself. It gives you a lot of time to do some soul searching and be introspective and look at areas that you can improve. And I think, like you said, it magnifies whatever you had going on before that probably could have used some improvement. Like we know we're supposed to save, but I would say, statistics say that 80 to 90% of Americans don't really have a savings. If they have a savings account, there's nothing in the savings account.
Sure.
And I think we're just getting to the point now where we just can't afford to live like that anymore, because this is an eye opener for a lot of us that there really isn't a lot of job stability or any other kind of stability these days. And the onus is really going to come back on you. And, you can have a job one way one day and get a pink slip the next. So you really have to have your systems in place to say you need a plan A, B, C, D, and Z,
Yeah.
if your steady full-time job doesn't pan out.
And no one foresaw that it was going to be 3 months. We thought
Yeah,
we thought 3 weeks maybe, but no one saw that it was, foresaw that it was going to be 30 days and then another 30 days and then another
right.
30 days. Now, as far as the credit and whatnot, is that something that's covered in the modules?
You know what? I just got off the phone with a lender before our call, and we don't cover it enough. We are actually looking for a banker to join the hub group so we can offer that expertise.
Sure.
So yeah, it's not directly covered, but several of us did talk about business credit. This is not going to be our last starter course. We're going to have other
Good.
courses. We're going to delve more into the credit and the funding, because it's actually probably the number one question that
Yes.
most of us have starting a business. I will say that a lot of the time, what you do in your personal finances, it just translates directly to business, because they're habits that you've developed over the years.
Yeah.
So, if you have a habit of spending more money than you make, it's just going to translate directly to your business. You're going to start using some bad business practices. And like you said, it'll magnify what you're doing in the business because you're working with other people. So you're not only going to be aware of your financial habits, other people are going to be aware of it as well, because it affects other people. So we just have to make sure that everything that we do is tight and that we're running a business and not a
Mhm.
business. As Ken
Mhm.
Harris says,
Mhm.
you have to be, what you do has to be legitimate with your profit and loss statements. They need to match up. Um, if you're spending a lot more money than you're making, you already know you're going to have to cut back somewhere. And I think a lot of times it's just common sense practices. But I think, emotions get involved. And when emotions get involved, common sense sometimes goes out the window. So, for instance, you could say, well, I know that I'm probably overspending, on this ad campaign, or overspending here, but they try to justify their expenses by saying, but it's going to make me X amount of dollars in the end, so this is worth the investment. But the thing about business is that you don't really know when that sale is going to come in all the time.
Right.
If you don't have the money to pay for something, then you're just going to have to practice delayed gratification. You're going to have to wait on it until you can actually afford it.
Yeah. And a lot of times I think businesses, streamlining those expenses, a lot of things you can do for yourself. You know,
Absolutely.
even if it's just, I see a lot of people who might have, again, product or crafts or whatever it might be, but they don't have a website.
Yes.
And what they typically have, and it's no dig, but what I see just from the outside looking in, as far as a social media manager perspective, it's like, I don't want to DM you. I just,
Right.
I just want to order. You know what I mean? I just want to hit something, use my card, you ship it,
Right.
at least a landing page or something, you know,
Yeah.
um, hiring somebody that is probably not going to charge you an arm and a leg. Um, but there are different things that you could streamline so that you have a web presence. I'm real big on having a web presence because that's where the money is, as far as
Right.
advertising. It's free advertising.
Absolutely. And it also established you as being a credible business owner.
Yeah.
Like we have an actual downtown address that we use. We really just use it. It's just a UPS PO box, but we still have that downtown address. But when you don't have an address and you don't have a website, a lot of people are like, well, you're really not in business then.
Yeah.
So
It's
we do.
unfortunate, but it's true. It's the
Yeah.
perception.
We talk about it quite a bit in the course, the starter course, how important a website is. It can be very affordable. You can get one on Wix, GoDaddy,
Yeah.
WordPress rather. There's so many different platforms that you can use now. Even Facebook, the business page is free, but you have to have something. Facebook to me is not enough, but at least it's a start.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, you definitely need a website presence. I hired a web designer to create nancyo'neil.com and nancyo'neil/DBHG. However, she pretty much does the layout, and then everything like after that, like updating blogs and things like that. I do a lot of that now. So you can have someone kind of create the framework for your
Sure.
website, and then you just take it from there to keep the cost down. Or you can do all
Exactly.
of it on your own. I mean, you can hire somebody from Center for Creative Studies. There's all that you can hire a student from there. You can hire a student from somewhere else, a different arts program or art school. But yeah, there's a lot of different options that you have out there from zero to a nominal fee, and go up and, from there to the hundreds and thousands. But you do have to do something. And I think sometimes one nice thing about business owners is that they're often very enthusiastic. So the
Yeah.
enthusiasm sometimes doesn't, it's kind of like you're just pushing the business full force and you don't really think about everything ahead of time. And that's why we don't have to do everything on our own. When I hired the web designer, it actually, I didn't want to go into debt with it. So it took me almost a year to pay the debt off or to pay her off. But when I paid it off, it's like, that's one bill that I don't have right now. The website, the only thing I pay for now is web hosting. So when you're working with your business and you hire these professionals, like if you hire Detroit Business Hub Group, you have these professionals that are working alongside you to help you build your business. Like we've been there before. We can give you advice that or you can see things differently that you might not see right now. And that was something that she helped me out with a lot. Like I had never built a website before, so I didn't know what was supposed to be on there. I mean, I know you need like a about you page and a bio page and a home page, but
Yeah.
I really needed help with the content and building the content up. So if you don't know what you're doing, get help. And I think sometimes that's difficult for business owners to do because there's a certain ego that's involved.
Yeah.
And it's like kudos for, starting your own business. But just because you start something doesn't mean you know how to do everything right now. It's just like you starting a job or a career. There is a learning curve and you do need to get some help. You can get help on your own at night, like when you get home from work, from a job, or you can get help from other people at work. I personally like to work with people who've already been down the path that I'm going down, because
Sure.
that saves you so much time. It helps you accelerate yourself a lot further than you trying to figure out everything on your own.
We're going to segue to your author hat.
Okay.
You have written a book called Follow Your JOB.
I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I saw some of the reviews. Someone said it was a great tool and it also forced them to ask questions of themselves. So it sounds like it's
Right.
introspective. Um, and I also liked the different mantras that you had, about having select customers,
Right.
which is my mantra. I said, that's wrong. I said, yes, I need to talk to her. Having select customers who don't mind paying the fees, or
Mhm.
paying you well to do what you do. So that stood out to me. Talk a little bit more about the book.
Well, the nice thing about owning your own business is that you get to select who you want to work with. I think that's one of the biggest benefits. And I found that people who don't really think like I do, or don't have your best interest at heart, those are really people that I don't want to work with. And I can be selective in who I work with. So unlike your job where you don't really get to pick your boss, you can be a lot more selective when you're working your own business. You don't have to work with the first web person or web designer that comes along. You can interview two or three of them. So it really does put you in the driver's seat and gives you
Mhm.
control
Mhm.
over your destiny and your business. I started the book. I actually wrote the book 2 years ago
Mhm.
and sat on it for 2 years. So like I said, people procrastinating, doing all these things that I've been there before. I know how it is.
Me too.
Um, I teach full time right now. I am transitioning on, being able to work Detroit Business Hub Group full time, but I wrote out a 3-year plan for myself to be able to do that. And with me teaching full time, I only had breaks to really do big things for the business. So I hired Sylvia Hubbard over the Thanksgiving break and talked to her. I said, I wrote this book. I don't really know what shape it's in. I haven't looked at it in 2 years, but I only have a certain amount of time to get this done. I really need your help. So she was like, sure, come on over. I went over to her house. I had hired her before then. She sent me the little questionnaire to fill out. Um, I said, so after our first consultation, I said, well, let me take a look at the book and I'll get back to you. I said, my goal is to get this done by January. So I looked at the book over Thanksgiving break. And I said, this book doesn't look too bad. I need to dust it off a little bit and edit it. But I said, I think I'll be done with this in December. And from the book is how the book spun into Detroit Business Hub Group, because after editing the book like 10 times,
Yeah. It
but
does push
still
it.
finding mistakes after it got self-published, I said, oh man, I don't believe this. I actually decided to start Detroit Business Hub Group so I could help other business owners who needed assistance. So that's how Detroit Business Hub Group got started.
Now, what do you teach, Nancy?
I'm a second grade co-teacher, so I work with second grade students who need intervention in reading, writing, and math.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been doing virtual teaching since COVID, or are you going back in the fall? How is that? Do you work for a particular school?
Yes, I work at Detroit Enterprise Academy. We do not know if we're going back in the fall or not. It's too soon to tell.
Okay.
So once we started working remotely, we basically were the school was sending students packets, and then they were pretty much just doing work on a self-paced basis
Okay. Okay.
and submitting it back to us like through Class Dojo or online once a week.
How has that been working out?
Definitely not as well as being in the classroom, but I mean, we tried to make it work the best that we could.
Going back to the book, what
Mhm.
can one gain from, like, do you think a person should read the book as well as take the module course? Do they work in tandem since one did birth the other?
Yes. With the book, I actually the book is on the as part of the course. The
Okay.
ebook is actually part of it's in the first set of modules for students. So I reference the book quite a bit so they can
Oh,
go back and
good.
take a look at it.
How so? Right? Is it 16? The courses are already pre-taped, so anybody
Yes,
can start at any time. They don't have to wait 16
correct.
weeks later and then someone, it's not that kind of setup. It's more or less you show up, you pay $100 or your dollar,
Right.
and then you get
Mhm.
started.
You get started right away. So the June 1st webinar, which is how we met, that is still being edited as we speak
Okay.
to be part of the starter course. And then we have one other participant, actually Tammy, who we're trying to interview to talk about networking next week. And we have 2 modules that we're finishing up the editing on now. But there's definitely enough material there for someone to get started for like this first 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then there's just 3 to 4 lectures or modules that we are still finishing up right now.
So the Detroit Business Hub group is sort of kind of a toddler at this point. It's in its infant stage because you
It
said,
is.
wow. And you've had some businesses go through initially since April.
Well, yeah, we started in January.
Okay, January.
So,
Okay.
yes. So, how it usually works is that a new business owner contacts me for a free consultation. I complete the initial consultation with them. They actually get an e-copy of my book for free for participating in the consultation. Then I schedule a follow-up consultation 1 to 2 weeks later. I give them recommendations on what they can do to improve their business. And at that time, invite them to become a member of the Hub group.
Okay. And how does one get in touch with you as a if a new business owner that definitely wants to up their game as far as
Sure.
successful? Where would they go?
So they can contact me at 313-516-9745.
Okay.
That's one of our business lines, or they can email me at nancy@nancyoneal.com.
Nancy at nancyoneal.com. And you
Yep.
also have a Facebook business page because I know
Yes.
some people will go directly to the page and then there's the contact information there.
It is on the Facebook page, and our website address is nancyoneal.com. And my last name spelled was on the screen without the apostrophe, ONEALE /DBHG for Detroit Business Hub Group.
Okay. Anything else you want to add before we close the show?
No, Francine, like I said, thank you so much for having me as a guest. I'll wait to hear from some of your participants. I don't know if we have any questions.
You know,
I don't see any in the chat, but if
at
anyone wants to take the course for $1, they can email me at Nancy at nancyoneal.com, or they can just give me a call and we'd be happy to get them set up with the starter course.
So are you saying today anybody that's watching can take the
Yes.
course for $1?
Yep, they'd have to email me because we have to send them a specific course code where they can get the discount.
Okay. I will definitely post that information. I don't see any questions
Okay.
at this point. I just see great information. I tuned in late. We'll definitely watch the replay. Good information, great information, thumbs up. That's pretty much it. I think we've covered everything.
We have.
As far as the book is available on Amazon, and it is Fire Your J period O period B period.
Yep, fire your job. Be your own boss. It stands for just over broke. That's
Just
why.
over broken. Have we not heard that? Now, would you say, as a business owner, one thing, I did have one other question before we close.
Sure.
As a business owner, would you say it's important to have multiple streams or focus just on the business?
Well, with the multiple streams of income, you should have that within your business. So even if you're only selling one thing, you can sell it different ways, such as I have a paperback version of the book. I have an e-book version as well. So you want to, those are 2 streams of income right there.
Okay.
If you're a business consultant, which is one of the things I do with Detroit Business Hub Group, you can offer speaking engagements. That's another stream of income. So there's different ways that you just get out there and promote yourself.
Sure.
And that opens up another stream of income for you. So that, along with whatever you're using right now to pay your bills, which could be a full-time job or, another business. Yeah, you definitely need more than one stream coming in as a new business owner, because it takes a while to get your business off the ground.
Sure. Well, thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
I will definitely post the information. I may have to take advantage of that myself.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we'd love to have you in the course.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I certainly thank you for coming on the show and providing us with some valuable information as far as business owners. We can especially use that kind of information going forward because so many businesses, did not get a chance or were squoze out. I like to say squoze
Right,
out of the funding that was actually allocated for small businesses to sustain themselves.
right.
Um, and unfortunately, to me, it just appeared as if the restrictions were so tight.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
The good news is that there's still other options out there. Lake Trust, they have a give back campaign that they're doing right now. That was the lender one of the lenders I was speaking to earlier today. She said there's still 10 spots left in that crowd fund. So that's something that someone can jump on, new business owner can jump on right away, because it only had 75 slots. Detroit Business Hub Group was selected as one of those businesses. So there's different crowd funds that are available. Kiva Loans is still offering money. There's some non-traditional companies out there that are, lending dollars even after COVID and after the federal funding. So it's just a matter of finding those resources, and we can certainly help new business owners out with that. And also, I look forward to you being on our podcast
I
tomorrow.
do too.
DVHG
I'm
has their own podcast.
excited.
Yeah, so
I'm definitely excited.
5 tomorrow. And they can catch us live on Apple Store or Google Play.
Okay.
Or we have the replays on our website at nancyo'neil.com as well.
And I'll let my people know. My family know. What do you think about a lot of the companies giving, backing Black Lives Matter? Do you think companies or businesses should take advantage of this guilt? Because I
have really mixed reviews about that. I think we should definitely be supporting Black businesses. I just personally have not gotten very involved because, like you said, I kind of feel like part of this is propaganda, and I don't, it's something that I take too seriously to try to make some money off of.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, I'm a Black person, so of course Black Lives Matter. I mean, I kind of don't want to mix that with the business. And another reason is because we totally believe in diversity. So we have,
Absolutely.
a very diverse group in our membership. And it's almost like when you say Black Lives Matter, that other lives don't. And of course, we value all life. So Black Lives Matter just as much as anybody else, any other culture or race's life does too. So yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings about that. We're not going to come out publicly and say something on Detroit Business Hub Group, but I would think that people would know, with me being the director, that I do support the movement. We just will probably not be that very vocal about it on our website.
Well, what I mean by, like, a lot of the corporations are now putting money, Goldman Sachs, and it's not to say that they're not sincere, but I'm just looking at different companies that are now backing, they're putting money towards causes to eradicate racial injustices. So do you think businesses should take advantage of, if there's some kind of funding for businesses, do you think they should take advantage of those dollars, especially because a lot of these companies want to be on the right side of history, at least appear to be. Not too much the names that I've called. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just...
No, I know where you're coming from.
I don't want anyone to say oh, she threw out. No, that was just one just from my reading where it's like,
Mhm.
okay, you got Nike, Nike now is making Juneteenth a permanent holiday that you can take off. So you've got
Right.
those kinds of moves that corporations are making. But in my mind, I'm thinking there's got to be some funding somewhere that small businesses can tap into as it relates to um, funding their own business, So it's like, especially if it's
Yeah.
a black business. So you tap into that some kind of way. Do you think that that might be an effective way to get funding as well, creatively?
It could be. I haven't really seen a lot in the news about that, but it doesn't mean that it's not out there.
Okay.
I know as a result of COVID-19, I believe Black Enterprise, they had put some programming in place for funding for Black businesses due to
Sure.
COVID. Nike should be doing something for the African American community because Michael Jordan has made Nike billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So they should be giving back. Like you said, I think part of it is guilt. Goldman Sachs has been committed to working in a lot of inner cities and inner communities before this whole Black Matters movement, Black Lives Matter movement started.
Sure.
So, if they're doing above and extra, then kudos to them. I think that there was already a commitment there.
Absolutely.
You have some companies who have historically been deemed as being racially biased or discriminatory, such as Starbucks and Walmart. They need to do something because the way that their treatment of African Americans typically on their footprints is not healthy or good.
Sure.
They don't have a good reputation in a lot of our communities. I know Starbucks recently hired a new Black CEO who's also a woman. That's something that they needed to do because they've had a lot of racial pushback for years with that company. So
Yeah.
companies who have not treated Blacks or other minorities correctly, they do need to step up and do something. This is one reason why you have certain police and other officials feel like they have a right to do things like this because of the way that we have been treated historically in this country and in businesses. So more businesses come out and say that they support Blacks. Hopefully we'll see less of these incidents take place.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I had a bad experience at Starbucks, and
I have as well.
I was on the phone like, oh, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Close
I
my
mean,
bed.
I left the store 5 minutes late and they called the police on me. Excuse me? I said, really? You don't leave until the customer is ready to leave? But I'm like, you close at 9, it's 9:05. I was packing my things up and walking out. I just was like, I was so insulted.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gosh.
And their response time was really quick. By the time I walked out the store, the police were already at the door. So they really don't waste a lot of time.
Yeah, and they had nothing else to do. I've done
In Rose Point, they really don't.
Yeah, and because when I was in J school, I did ride-alongs with police officers, and specifically, not necessarily in Detroit,
Right.
but we did. It was a ride-along.
Yeah.
It was not that eventful. It was not an eventful night. So, but thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you, Francyne.
Post that the 16 module course is available for $1. That is,
yes.
So it takes 16 weeks because you're advising that people do a module a week. And how long are the modules?
They're only about 20 to 30 minutes. There's a description. They take a little quiz. I mean, it's self-paced. If they want to do it faster, they can. But we, at the same time, we don't just want them to fly through the information. We actually give them assignments to do first.
Okay.
Because those assignments will help them build a stronger business.
Okay. Well, thank you again. I will see you tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow.
Okay.
Podcast.
All right. Sounds good, Francyne.
Have a wonderful day, honey.
You do the same.
Talk to ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to another edition of Life and Style with Francyne. If you want to keep up with the future episodes of Life and Style with Francyne, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube, my YouTube channel. You can just hashtag Francyne Walker and my channel will come up. Or you can go to www.francinewalker.com, my website, where all my interviews are housed. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Francyne Walker TV, Twitter at Francyne Walker, and of course my Facebook page, Francyne Walker. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in. We've got some exciting guests lined up for the future, so don't forget to tune in the next time. I'll talk to you soon.